And do you guys want to introduce yourselves and just let us know who you guys are in Chief Pratt's team?
Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Walsh. I'm one of the Title IX trainers with the Office of Student Protections. Thank you so much as we make our way through all these technical difficulties. Very excited to be here and happy to be talking about this with you all, with my director, Amy Rodriguez, who I think should be introducing herself right now.
Yes, this is Amy Rodriguez. I am the Director of Compliance and Training, which means I oversee the compliance of all our Title IX work and our EOCO work in terms of reporting it to the Office of Civil Rights to make sure that Chicago Public Schools is in compliance. But I do compliance and training, which means I also do training for the district and help direct our 3 trainers, one of which is here with us today, Matt Walsh. And so we'll be starting the deck and going through it, and we can share with you. And Camie will jump on momentarily and can take over or answer questions. Could you flip back to the screen on Camie? I just wanted to say something on Camie before we proceed. Or is the first slide the Camie slide?
Yeah, the next slide. Yep, there we go.
Okay, great. So Camie leads our Office of Student Protections and Title IX called OSP. She is a parent of CPS students herself, and she's a licensed attorney and mediator. She has 10 years experience as vice president and title coordinator at the University of Phoenix. And she attended the Philadelphia public school system and is in the first in her family to attend college. She has a BA in psychology from the University of Maryland and a law degree from Quinnipiac University. So she comes to us with a lot of experience, and this was great when we formed our office about 2.5 months ago and basically started from not having an office to creating one, to creating this first set of procedures. And we have kept on modifying our procedures, policies, and guidelines to improve them as time goes on to address different issues that come up. So I just wanted you to all know about Camie. So one thing we want to remind everyone as a friendly reminder is that this session covers sensitive subject matter because Title IX does include sexual misconduct. So we understand if you need to take a moment for self-care, it can look like taking a small break from this session, just walking around, taking deep breaths or sipping some water. If you just need to step away for any reason, please don't hesitate. So we have a commitment to our students and parents to really protect our students. We are the first school district of our size to have an office like the Office of Student Protections with a coordination unit, a full investigation unit, and a full compliance and training unit. It was established in 2018 to protect our students from gender discrimination, sexual harassment, violence, and abuse. And our mission is just to make schools safe, supportive, and somewhere where students can learn and feel part of their school, and in a district that's free of discrimination, harassment, sexual misconduct, and retaliation. And we just want to make it so that there are no barriers, whether a student is involved in an incident directly or heard about it at their school or somehow is a witness to a case. We are here to provide supports, OSP that is, through our coordination unit to make sure that our students can continue learning. So this is our CPS non-discrimination statement. It's a flyer that you may have seen posted at schools and at different offices. I know it's been hard with a COVID year, but we also have a website www.cps.edu/OSP. You can see it there at the bottom of this slide. And it includes a full PDF of this, as well as many other useful resources that include a parent guide, a procedure manual, and information for some of our documents in multiple languages, in the top languages spoken by our students. So in terms of non-discrimination, our office exists because we don't want there to be discrimination, harassment, or retaliation at our schools. And the protected categories are race or ethnicity, ethnic group identification, ancestry, nationality, national origin, sexual orientation, gender, sex, or registered domestic partner status. So something that not everyone knows is that our Office of Student Protections merged with the Equal Opportunity Compliance Office. And so they are both led by our Chief Camie Pratt. And so that means that we also do non-discrimination over any of those protected classes that I just went over, as well as sexual misconduct cases under Title IX.
Hey, Amy, I'm not sure if you're able to see the chat, but we have a request for you to slow down for interpretation purposes.
Okay, I'm sorry. I completely understand. I have been an interpreter. I will slow down. Thank you for letting me know. So in terms of Title IX and students, every student has the right to a safe and supportive environment. And at their school, that'll be free of discrimination, harassment, sexual misconduct, and retaliation. We want students to go to schools and feel safe and feel supported and feel like there is someone there that they trust, that they can go to and let them know if something is going on. And by no means do we ever, we strive to prevent students from missing school due to Title IX incidents. Title IX itself is a federal civil rights law that doesn't allow discrimination to occur in schools and school activities. And I'll pause right there. And Barbara, our interpreter, feel free to open the chat with me and let me know when you're done interpreting, or if you need me to slow down again.
And I think you can continue. It's just having a conversation tone. And I see Chief is in.
Okay,
Chief,
so,
are you able to have audio?
Yes, I think I'm
Oh, yay.
here now.
awesome.
You made it. Awesome. Thank you so much. And thank you
Great.
for going the extra mile, making sure you were here and the audio was here. Thank you so much.
Yes, I am terribly, terribly sorry. I ended up switching computers and I'm here. So
Yay. Thank you,
Thank
Chief.
you.
Appreciate it.
So I will turn it over to Camie. Camie, I introduced your background and how wonderful it has been to have you come and help us start our office and every way that we have evolved for the last 2.5 years. And so I will just let you take over from here. And by the way, they let us know that I was to slow down a little bit because they had the group switch into 2 rooms where there is an interpreter in one room interpreting into Spanish. So
okay, great.
just a few pauses here and there.
All right, wonderful.
Welcome.
Wonderful. So I think I'll pick up here. It looks like we're on this slide for supporting our students and supporting all students. So I'll go ahead and jump in. Thank you so much, Amy, for covering for me and helping me out with my technical glitch there. So I'm glad to be here. To ensure that all of our students are supported in an environment that is inclusive, schools should ensure that all students are treated fairly, including the following 2 protected groups who are also covered under Title IX. Those are our pregnant and parenting students, as well as our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning students. We appreciate your thoughtfulness and consideration when it comes to our most vulnerable students, and we want to acknowledge that OSP should be used as a resource. Some quick examples of what discrimination can look like are forcing a student to transfer schools due to their pregnancy status, or being denied the opportunity to join a sport because of a person's sexual orientation or gender identity. These types of violations are taken very seriously and must be reported to the Office of Student Protections in Title IX. Next, we will explain a bit further what protections these students have. As we review the following, it really is critical to keep in mind that we all have to do our part to foster a culture that is open and welcoming and supportive to all. Thanks. So how does OSP help? Our process begins with prevention of harm. To the extent that we are offering student training, we're offering student training, and we offer awareness posters in our schools and digitally to our students. The second thing is, should OSP receive a complaint, we immediately seek to stop any further discrimination or harassment at that very point that we receive that complaint or concern. We then work to coordinate supportive measures to all students. This includes students who experience the harm, as well as the student who may have caused the harm. Our trained and specialized staff assist with investigations based on CPS policies and protocols. And finally, OSP works to remedy the complaint, which includes partnering with external community partners to provide information, rape crisis, suicide prevention, and encourage parents and students to access our services. We want teachers to build healthy relationships with students, and we encourage acceptable supportive measures, but we also will have to protect our students against any unacceptable behavior, such as appearances of improprieties. Therefore, we have our CPS standards for conduct for maintaining professional boundaries between students and staff. And you can find those on our OSP website. Staff members are responsible for treating all students consistently and in line with the educational mission of the district. Standards apply to all employees, including and without limitation to teachers, coaches, counselors, and administrators, volunteers, vendors, consultants, and their employees and other third parties who interact with our students. The standards for staff and student interactions, some things to keep in mind are whether on or off school property, during or outside of school hours, personal contact between students and staff members must be always acceptable and appropriate supportive behaviors. School personnel are not allowed to communicate with our students via text messages or social media. No one should make a student feel uncomfortable at school, not another student, a staff member, or older student or classmate, or someone similar in age. When a report is made, parents and caregivers of involved parties will receive information pertaining to the incident and the investigation. We take extra precaution to maintain student privacy in these matters. Only the parent of the involved parties are entitled to receive or request information. Students' rights and supportive measures are provided to involved students. We follow strict protocol on how to address staff and their rights to staying safe. All parties have a right to an advisor of their choice. Staff are informed of their employee rights, and we follow strict protocol on how to address staff and their right to staying safe. No matter the severity of the incident, OSP works with school administrators to ensure support and protection is provided to students involved in sexual misconduct. All staff are mandated reporters and are required to report any sexual misconduct to our office. However, anyone can report, and that includes parents, guardian caregivers, students, or other community members. If you need to report an incident, parents and guardians can call the Office of Student Protections and Title IX at 773-535-4400. You can also email us at osp@cps.edu or fill out a report using our online complaint form, which you can find on our OSP website. All bias-based harm can also be reported to OSP. Our goal is to support and protect all of our students. So next we'll discuss parent and student resources. Again, we want to acknowledge that OSP is a resource when it comes to reporting harassment, discrimination against our pregnant students, as well as our LGBTQ students. We have policies and guidelines in place to be responsive to this vulnerable student demographic. Our partners at the Office of Student Health and Wellness provide support that are affirming to our lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning students and staff. And very importantly, remember to report bullying or harassment towards LGBTQ students and staff. Remember, we should not be silent on these issues. As a reminder, parents and students are encouraged to talk to school leadership about their school's sexual education programming. Schools are required to issue age-appropriate curriculum for every student every year. For more information, you can check out the Office of Student Health and Wellness website, and we'll be providing that link in the chat. Students and their parents and caregivers are encouraged to participate in upcoming Title IX student training sessions. These training sessions go in depth on issues of sexual misconduct, Title IX, and reporting. Specifically, the student training discusses these issues in a developmentally appropriate manner that helps students with identifying red flags on issues such as grooming and to be cautious of things like staff giving students special attention, giving gifts, text messages, or connections with students on social media. We encourage parents to check out our accompanying parent training, which will be available on our website, and to take time to talk to your student about these issues and make clear expectations and agreements on open communication. We also invite parents, guardians, and caregivers and families to check out the upcoming parent training sessions that'll be offered in collaboration with the FACE Virtual Parent University. Our first training session will be tomorrow, March 19th at 1 o'clock. Finally, thank you so much for being part of this session. As a reminder, I am unable to respond to any specific case questions. However, if you have any specific case questions, please feel free to fill out the Google form in the link that'll be provided to you in the chat, and a member of our team can respond to your specific case questions.
Thank you, Chief, for that. I really appreciate it. And thank you for making that announcement. So I know some of you guys might have some questions to particular cases. And as Chief said, some of that information, obviously it's personal information of those individuals involved, so we can answer those questions today. But we are able to answer some things in general. So if I can ask Matt, if you can stop sharing your screen, that would be awesome, so you can see you guys. Awesome, thank you so much. That was a lot of information, a lot of really good information. And as always, folks that are joining us, we will have all those links emailed to you. We're recording, so you will see this. Again, hopefully we'll put up the video tomorrow, if not Monday. I know you guys have been really good about being patient with us at putting it up, so I appreciate it. One of the things that you mentioned in your presentation was mandated reporters, the word mandated reporters. I don't know if all of our parents know what that is and how that works. So can you talk a little bit about what that is?
Yes, of course. So all of our employees are mandated reporters. And so what that means that under the law in Illinois, in the state of Illinois, they are mandated to report any sign of child abuse or neglect that they may become aware of. So in particular in our area, right, we're talking about sexual misconduct and Title IX issues. So all of our employees are mandated to report any of those types of situations to the Department of Children and Family Services.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And just for parents to know, all of us, including myself, go through an extensive training every year to make sure that we know what we're doing and refresh our memory, so that you guys as parents know that that's part of us being educators and working for Chicago Public Schools. Thank you for that, Chief. One of the questions we did receive through our RSVP is from Elizabeth. From Melody STEM, and she wants to know, how do we keep students or children, youth, etc., safe while on social media?
Yeah, that's a great question. And right now, I mean, how relevant is that? I think, unfortunately, through the pandemic, our youth has been spending a lot of time connected to the world through social media. So it's really imperative that parents really have an idea of, you know, what social media are their students using? Are their children using? The Chicago Children's Advocacy Center is a really wonderful organization that we partner with here in Chicago. And on their website, and we'll be providing the link, they have a great internet safety with some very great tips for things like keeping an open line of communication with your children, knowing, you know, what social media platforms are they visiting, and if you're able to friend them on those social media platforms, you know, having some time, especially now when the kids are in remote learning, a lot of our kids are still there, and otherwise on their digital social media to connect with all of their friends digitally, you know, take some time away from social media and from our devices to just have some family time and make sure that you're connecting on that other level so your children feel very comfortable opening up to you and discussing what they are doing on social media.
Yeah, for sure. I know, as everybody joins every week, I have a 12-year-old, and you know, he's still, you know, in that preteen, so he still tells mommy a lot of stuff, which I'm grateful. And I'm like, and that's one thing I tell him, like, you can trust me, like, I'm never gonna judge you, just tell me, you know, I'll take it, it's okay. And he's like, all right. So I think it's great what you just share, having that communication with your child and being really open and really listening to them. So I really appreciate that. I know Elizabeth also put on the chat if we can send the flyer out for that training you talked about. So we will definitely do that. For the rest of our participants, if there's questions or concerns that you have, type it up on the Q&A, and we will try to get through those in a little bit. There is a couple of other questions that we received through the Q&A. So one of the questions / comment was about students with disability and how are they protected under Title IX. So you can talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Title IX protects all of our students. It also protects our staff as well, and anyone that comes onto our school property, right? So it's very all-inclusive. I think when you're thinking about, you know, some of our students who are diverse learners, then, you know, it's just a special consideration that we will give. You know, every case that comes in is unique in its own way with its own individual. So maybe the student case that comes in as a complainant is a diverse learner. And so we're going to make sure that we meet the student where they're at and provide whatever supportive measures to that student are applicable. All of our cases are very different. And so we want to make sure that whatever that particular situation is, that we are addressing those needs of the student where the student's at.
For sure. No, thank you for that. And I think it's important for parents to understand that, right? Like you just mentioned, every case is different. So every case is going to be treated for what's happening in that case. So I know as parents, we hear a lot of stuff. We hear, you know, this happened at that school and this is how they handle it. So it's really important that you guys who are joining us today and who are going to watch this later to understand that, right? Just because something happened at a school doesn't mean that that's going to be handled how happened in another school, because each case is very different.
Definitely. And I think sometimes it's very difficult because people have such a, like I said, a limited amount of information. So if it's your student that's involved, then you will have information in regard to the case, and it will be specific information. But we obviously don't want to divulge your student's information for privacy, reasons and confidentiality reasons to any other student. So we want to hold that very dear. And so sometimes certainly, cases happen at schools and, people, a rumor mill may start, right? And parents are starting to talk and they have very limited information, but we really do want to protect students' privacy, and that is the reason for limited information. That said, if it's your particular student, you can always call our office. We are happy to discuss any needs the student may have or any particular case details with the parent of that particular case.
Yeah, thank you for that, Chief. Yeah, we're getting questions about the training that you mentioned a little bit ago. So Matt just sent me the flyer, so I will email it to everybody because we can't post it on the chat or on the Q&A. So we'll send that out to everybody tonight. I'll make sure when I get off from here, I'll send it to you guys. So bear with us. And can you talk a little bit about that training, actually? What are people going to be learning?
So for the parent training, it'll be some of the stuff that you heard here today, but it'll really go into greater detail. We also have and are very excited while we're releasing the parent training, we are also releasing training for all of our students this year. And so this will be our first year to do that. And parents will be able to see the training that will be released to their students. Both the parent training and the student training has all been videotaped and will be up on our website for view. The student training will take place in the students' classrooms with the teachers, and we are very excited to have that opportunity for our students this year. Again, we are a direct line. We're here to support our students, our parents, and our community. And so everyone should feel free if they have any questions, that I don't get to today, please reach out with anything. We're very happy to engage with the community.
Thank you for that. Yeah, so it's really cool, like you say, not only training the parents, but the students. So parents take the training, the students are going to take it and then have a conversation. I think that's awesome. We're training the whole family so you guys can have that conversation. So thank you.
Yeah, and the students training will be age appropriate. So we've split it up into 3 different levels of training so that we can really speak to the students where they're at. And they'll, be things to signs to look out for. It'll be very prevention so that they can prevent harm from happening to themselves. And we really want to empower the students. But then also we want them to know if something does happen, where do you go for help and who do you report to? And so the training will cover all of that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for giving us that information. So I know parents always think what are they going to be teaching them? So thank you for clarifying that. We do have a question in the chat about consequences of us as staff not reporting. What are the consequences?
Yeah, so failure to report can be a discipline action against an employee. So, if you have reason to believe that an employee failed to report, that again is something that you should report to our office. And again, everything that gets reported, the one thing that is consistent, right? We can't consistently give everybody information on all of the cases, but what is consistent is that we will take in all of those reports. We always will provide supportive measures for whatever cases, even if it's something like someone failed to report. And then an investigation starts after that. And then finally, at the end of the investigation, that's when we're getting into, if there's any disciplinary action that may need to occur. But it is against board policy for our employees to fail to report these concerns.
Yeah, no, thank you for clarifying that. I appreciate it. One of the other questions we have is it's about bullying. Where can we get support about bullying if they don't think their school is doing anything to support anti-bullying? Where can they go?
Well, our Office of Social and Emotional Learning is really, the office that oversees the bullying policy. But if you have any specific concerns, please, our phone lines are open and reach out to our phone lines. You can email us. And if we aren't the correct department to help you, we will make sure that you get to the right person to help you with any concerns you have.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. And we had Heather 2 weeks ago from SCL. So if you guys were here, we send out that information. If not, send me an email. You guys all have my email and I can try to connect you. One of the other questions we have, and again, I don't know if this falls into your department, it's about teaching about police brutality. Is that something that CPS is teaching or that we're teaching to students at their age level, right?
Yeah, that really doesn't fall into our area. We will be taking maybe somewhat related, like a bias-based harm outside of just sexual misconduct in Title IX. And we'll be launching that very soon, where we'll take those concerns and those investigations.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you. And I know there's a lot of programs, community organizations that are doing some of that work. So as we mentioned in every session, right, like have that communication with your admin and your teachers. And some of them already have some really amazing programs and partnerships with community organizations. So reach out to them and see what's happening, or reach out to FAZE, my department, and we'll try to support in any way we can. There's another question. Let me see. Sorry, I don't know where I left my glasses, guys, so bear with me. Okay, so it says, what advice do you have for parents now that they aren't allowed on campus to volunteer, right, attend events, etc., due to the COVID pandemic, and may feel nervous about sending their children in person back to school? So what are some of those advice that you can give those folks?
Yeah, I mean, talk to your school administrators, you know, to see what they have in place for students. But at the end of the day, like, you know, just like I'm saying here, you know, the district is here to protect your students. And that was the basis of the creation of our department a couple years ago. And that's really the basis for even ensuring their safety during this very difficult time during the pandemic. So, you know, the supports are there. If there's something that you need that's, you know, not being addressed right here in this particular webinar, you can just, again, feel free to reach out, and, you know, Ms. Pond or I would be happy to connect you, you know, to somebody that can really be very responsive to your question.
Yeah, thank you so much for that. There is another question about physical corporal punishment by a staff member. So does that fall under Title IX, or is that OIG?
So that actually does fall outside of Title IX, but that is something that our department does investigate. So it's not investigated by the Office of Inspector General. It is investigated by the Office of Student Protections in Title IX. And again, that should be reported to your school administrator. And if you're not comfortable reporting it to them, you can always call our office directly and report it.
Thank you. No, and thank you for mentioning that. So I know some parents, right, might not feel comfortable talking to their administrator for whatever reason. So guys, know that that's why we have this office. You can call, go on the website and find information and talk to somebody outside of your school if you don't feel comfortable doing that. So thank you so much. So we're going to go, let's see if we have more questions as you guys are typing them in here. Let's see. People are shy today. I know this is a really hard topic, guys. I totally get it. So like we said at the beginning, right? If you need to take a little break and breathe and just step away from the screen, we totally get that. But if you do have questions, we have our experts today. So please feel free to do that. And as you were talking a little bit about the training for the students, as more people type questions and they're age appropriate, you mentioned that. So how do you guys go about figuring out what's age appropriate for kids and what you're teaching them?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great research. You know, the one interesting thing about our department is there really is no other department like it in the country. So no other school system is set up in the way that we're set up to handle these issues. So a lot of research went into that. We looked to see, you know, what else was out there, but then we have a wonderful team within our office that does training and compliance, and they created, you know, we want to be very focused on our students. We know our students. And so we wanted to create a training that was meaningful for our student population.
Yeah, no, for sure. And you know, just like I mentioned about schools, right? Every school is a little different. So obviously, like our students are not the same as the students over at Joliet or Skokie, you know, or LA. So we're very different. Chicago is very unique. So we really appreciate that, as you were mentioning that. One of the other things you mentioned, there's a form that parents can fill out and provide more information if they have questions, right?
Yeah, so we have the Google form as part of this presentation that we'll be providing, or maybe it has been provided in the chat, I might not have seen it, and can be sent out afterwards. So if you have like specific questions about a case or something like that, or any question at all that wasn't answered today, feel free to fill out that form and we will be able to get back to you on that. And then I was about to say, oh yeah, I know what I was gonna say. We also have an online complaint form. So if you're not comfortable calling our office or sending an email, then you can feel free. There's an online complaint form on our website that you can fill out to file any concerns there.
Thank you. So guys, there's many ways to be able to communicate either, with your administrator or calling a Title IX office or filling out those forms if you are not comfortable yet having a conversation. So I appreciate that. There is a question on the Q&A and it is there a limit on when to make a complaint? So like if it happened last year or the year before, is there a limit?
There's no limit. We're willing to take a complaint even if we have a student who's an alumni and no longer with the district. We want to make sure that the district is a safe place for all of our students. And so no complaint is too old for us to process.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So parents share that information, right? That you guys can call their office or your administrator at any time. Appreciate that. One of the other questions that we have is for the trainings you talked about students. So does this training also serve the diverse learners?
Yes, it will serve the diverse learners. Right now, the training that's rolling out, like I said, we have a pre-K through third grade, the 4th through 8th grade, and then the high school training. We actually are working with the University of Illinois at Chicago and a lab that works there specifically for the diverse learners training. So right now we can adapt some of the training for diverse learners, but we will actually roll out a complete training that is completely accessible for all of our students.
Fantastic. So that's good to know. So the training, with the teachers and our staff are adapting it and making sure your kiddos are in the know, right, and know what to do. But definitely we'll look forward to that rollout for specifically just for those kiddos. Thank you so much for that. As we're getting closer, I know to the end of our time here, you gave us a lot of information. There's a lot of really good questions, a lot to think about as parents, right? What are the things I tell my kid, like don't talk to strangers. If people come close to you, like run away, you're on your bike. He's taller than me now, guys. So he's like, Mom, and I'm like, you have to do it. So I think it's really important to have this information so that we as parents are equipped, right, to have those conversations. And I just say, run away from the stranger, but have like really good conversations with our kids. So on that note, Chief, from all the information you gave, from all the questions that we asked today, what are some of the main 3 points that you think, if we remember anything today, what are the 3 main things that you want us as parents to take away?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say, we want all students to know that they have a right to be safe and learn in a supportive learning environment. Another thing is that no student should experience sex or gender-based harassment or discrimination. And then finally, parents, have a voice and open communication with your student. That's really imperative. And as always, as I've repeated multiple times, and maybe I'm giving you a 4th point, but please feel free to reach out to the Office of Student Protections in Title IX with any questions or concerns. We're always happy to hear from our community.
Yeah, so parents, take this opportunity. We will definitely share, we put a lot of links in the chat, so don't freak out if you didn't copy them. We'll email everything to you tomorrow. We will include a copy of the deck that the chief presented today so that you have it and you can read it and take your time with it and process it. We'll include all the links as well. But I think, like you said, the main thing is communication, right? And then contacting the chief's office. If you have any questions or concerns, we're always happy to help and happy to serve parents in our community. So if there's not any more questions, I know parents stop typing. And again, I know this is a really hard topic, right, to deal with. You might have some other questions. And again, if you don't feel comfortable sharing them here or asking them here, send me an email or send them an email or fill out that form. Or if you feel comfortable with, right, your school will also be a good place to find information. but I will send all of that out for everybody tomorrow. So expect that email tomorrow, and then the video, give me until Monday to be able to upload it. And with that, I think we're going to come into a close for a session today. Chief, thank you so much for powering through some of our technical difficulties this afternoon. Really,
So sorry.
no, you're great. Thank you so much for coming back and doing all you could to join us, and for your team for like joining us and jumping in at last minute, letting them like, can you guys present? They were like, you got it. So they're awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for that. And for our interpreter, thank you so much for supporting our Spanish speakers and this very, very important session that we had tonight. And everybody that joined us, again, thank you so much for providing us time this afternoon. I know you guys are super busy trying to get dinner and the kiddos ready for homework. So we really, really appreciate you guys coming. So thank you, everybody, and have a great night. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye, everybody.